Hi everyone, thanks for joining us today for the first online edition of the Viantis Enterprise Days. I'm Anthony from the marketing team at Viantis in France, and I'm delighted to see you here. The session will start in a few seconds, but I first wanted to share with you some practical information. As you may have noticed, we'll all be in mute mode during the presentation, so you can't talk to us directly. However, I invite you to use the chat box to leave your comments and your questions, as there will be a Q&A session at the end of the presentation. Finally, as some of you may have understood, this session has been pre-recorded to avoid any technical problems or last-minute cancellation. But we will be in live at the end to answer your questions with the speakers. Thanks again for your participation, and see you right after.
Hi, I'm Amita Abraham, and I'm responsible for product marketing for Atlassian's IT solutions. I'm thrilled to be here today to talk to you about some of the exciting new developments at Atlassian around how we're reimagining IT service management for this new software-powered world that we live in. Now, how many of you remember Ford's Model T? It had about 1 gauge, pretty simple, right? Now, fast forward to recent times. Take the Ford 150. It has nearly 150 million lines of code. In fact, that's a lot more than many aircrafts. Now, this pickup truck is sold in dozens of countries. It has a complex supply chain, and it's supported by globally distributed employees. Now, think about it. To build and deliver a software-driven truck globally and support their customers and employees, dev and IT teams have to come together. Now, it's not just the auto industry where you're seeing all these changes, it's happening across every industry. In fact, many of our customers tell us that increasingly their IT teams are under a lot of pressure to work with development and engineering teams to do 3 things. 1, they need to ship new products and services fast without introducing risk to the business. Now, take Lucid Motors. I don't know if any of you have seen the ads for this new Lucid Air. Everything that this company does, from how their teams work together to the color and trim inside the car to the software it runs, all of it is geared towards delivering a high quality software-powered vehicle. And that coupled with a great experience, a great customer experience. Now, the second thing we're hearing from our customers is that their IT teams now have to partner with their development teams to deliver these services that are always on. Now, how many of you use a Peloton or know of someone who raves about it? Now, when Peloton actually saw a 94% jump in their subscriptions when the pandemic shut down gyms. Now, this is a great example of a company that relies on having great services that are always on. Now, the third thing we hear is that IT teams have to partner with development teams to provide great service experiences to both your employees as well as your customers, especially given the new normal. Now, a great example is Health Direct Australia. Now, as soon as the pandemic hit, they knew that they needed a help desk to address questions that are coming from the public around COVID-19. And what's impressive is that in less than a week, the Australian Department of Health's National Coronavirus Helpline was able to go live with a system that was powered by Jira Service Desk. So 3,500 call center representatives were now able to quickly field questions coming in from the public and route it to the right teams to take action. Now, we know that achieving all these goals isn't easy, and that's because how IT supports the business is fundamentally changing. First, IT teams need far more dynamic infrastructure to support their business needs. We're finding many companies moving the operation of their applications and services from behind the firewall to the cloud, and that's because they have to support much more dynamic needs and the cost sensitivities around their businesses. In fact, Gartner predicts that about 80% of all enterprise workloads will shift to the cloud by 2025. The second thing we're seeing is that more and more IT support and operations teams are beginning to recognize that they need to look at Agile and DevOps philosophies and work more closely with engineering teams. In fact, there's an interesting statistic from Gartner that says that 80% of ITSM teams that don't adopt Agile ways of working will get ignored or bypassed as a result of more agile ways of working beginning to emerge in other parts of the organization. So in response to that, a lot of the customers that we're talking to are beginning to see that their infrastructure and operations teams are making sure that they're either tied closer to development or DevOps teams, or they're actually embedding development or engineering teams within infrastructure and operations. And finally, customer expectations continue to rise and they continue to skyrocket because all of us expect the same simple consumer-like service experience that we're used to in our personal lives at work as well. Now, to compound the problem, the world is shifting to a new normal with remote work, right? It's forcing companies, including Atlassian, to find new ways of working. Your employees can no longer do a drive-by for IT support. And it's the same with your customers. The way they interact with you has changed forever. So IT teams are at this pivotal point where they have to redefine how they deliver, operate, and support services for their internal as well as external customers. But when you talk to customers, we find that a lot of times they tell us that they feel kind of handcuffed by the tooling that they have today. Very often we hear that it's not that easy to flexibly adapt to the evolving business process and the evolving business needs. The tools that they have tend to reinforce this idea of knowledge silos, and often work comes to a grinding halt when an expert goes on vacation. And these siloed tools cause so much friction between dev, IT, and the business that teams really don't have all the contextual information they need to make good decisions around business changes and resolve issues fast. So that's why at Atlassian, we thought it was really time to rethink how companies deliver, operate, and support products and services. And why I'm excited to tell you that recently we announced the launch of Jira Service Management. Now, if you're one of the 25,000 customers that use Jira Service Desk today, first of all, thank you. And secondly, I'm hoping you love Jira Service Management because it's built on the foundation of Jira Service Desk. So what's in the box? Now, in addition to all of the capabilities that were in Jira Service Desk, like the rich request management capabilities that our customers have come to know and love, Jira Service Management has deeper change and incident management functionality and capabilities, especially with the inclusion of Ops Genie's alerting and incident response capabilities. Now, future releases of Jira Service Management, we're going to include the rich asset and configuration management that came from our recent acquisition of Mindful Insight, as well as best-in-class conversational ticketing capabilities through our Help acquisition. So how does this all help your teams? We believe that our journey in the IT service management space will help you with unlocking high-velocity teams. Now, the true power of great ITSM is that it brings dev, IT, and business teams together to deliver, operate, and support great experiences. So the three fundamental things we think this will help you with is delivering value fast. Because you can deliver great service experiences without the cost and complexity of traditional ITSM solutions, because it's extremely easy to deploy and use. Secondly, we make work visible. It provides an open collaborative platform that actually brings greater visibility to work. So your teams now have richer contextual information at their fingertips so they can make faster and better decisions. And third, thanks to our heritage and development, we understand that it's really important to invest in building that bridge between development and IT operations teams. And so with Jira Service Management, we will continue to focus on how do you speed business requests through to development and on to operations and back again, so you can go from idea to operations fast. So instead of all this talking, let's look at a couple of examples of what we are doing with the product to help you deliver value fast. So first, we've designed the product so it's easy for every team in your organization to be a service team, be it IT, finance, HR, marketing, or legal. So your teams can configure for their forms and processes and match the way they deliver service to their business counterparts. Now we're making work visible across teams, so it's easier for every team to get work done. For example, if you are an incident manager, you now have much richer contextual information to respond to outages and resolve incidents faster. So you can drill down into an impacted service. You can see all the related incidents that are related to that major incident. And then you can dig in to investigate the root cause of that incident quickly. So we've built these integrations between Opsgenie and Bitbucket so you can see all the deployments related to a particular service and delve into the deployment that happened right before that incident occurred and see who made that change and perhaps even roll back the change to resolve that incident. Now, you know you're never done once the incident is resolved. The best incident response teams learn from every incident. And so we've added the ability to export your postmortems to Confluence with just one click. Now, this makes it very easy for your dev and IT teams to continue to collaborate and track follow-on actions and share their learnings with the broader team. Now, speaking of collaboration between development and IT operations teams, I want to show you an example how we are trying to make it easy for your teams to collaborate on changes, speed changes through to production, and really operate as high velocity teams. So we built these deep integrations between popular CI/CD tools like Bitbucket Pipelines, Circle CI, and Jenkins with Jira Service Management. So if you have a low risk change, it gets auto approved and deployed. But if it's a high risk change that needs a little bit of scrutiny, it gets sent through to the change manager for approval. So within Jira Service Management as a change manager, you now have rich information from your development tools right here. Information from your CI/CD tool. You can see the affected service. You can see the risk score that comes from our risk assessment engine that's automated. And you can also see who needs to approve that change. So now your IT operations teams can make better decisions fast and decide whether to approve that change or not. Now, once it's approved, it unblocks that deployment. Now, the beauty of all of this is that it unblocks your development team, removes that friction, while still giving your IT operations team a complete audit trail of all the changes that were deployed, critical for compliance and risk, and it's all in one place in Jira Service Management. So I can't wait for you all to go out and try our latest advancements in ITSM in Jira Service Management. And I believe the secret sauce is the fact that Atlassian puts dev and IT on this common platform for work management on Jira. Now, it's not just dev and IT teams that benefit from this common platform for work. Every team across HR, finance, legal, and more benefit from an open approach to collaboration. Now, I've just stepped you through how Jira Service Management helps unlock high-velocity teams. But let's talk a little bit about what's coming next. Now, I talked a little bit about this earlier about how we're going to be integrating Help, our new conversational ticketing acquisition, into Jira Service Management. So now your employees can get help right from their collaboration tool of choice. It could be Microsoft Teams or Slack, Microsoft Teams in a short order. And in the background, these requests will get routed to the right agent in Jira Service Management, get resolved, and the response goes back to the employee or customer in Slack or Microsoft Teams. So your employees or customers don't need to log into a portal or send an email if they don't want to. Now, the second major area of investment is going to be in smarts and machine learning. As a company, we're looking at investing in this area, and that will manifest itself in our ITSM solution as well. A couple of examples of things you'll see in the second half of the year. We will be adding capabilities that help you accurately predict who to route tickets or requests to. It will help you with accurately categorizing these requests that come in so they get routed to the right team. And we'll even help with suggesting the right SMEs to help you, subject matter experts who can resolve an issue based on historical data and resolution patterns. Now, perhaps the most interesting thing from my perspective is the area that we're investing in called dynamic configuration management. Now, you're all probably familiar with the role of a CMDB, a configuration management database in change management. Now, that gives you visibility into how a change to your infrastructure might impact a critical service. But what if now we can give you a lot more real-time information about that business service? What if you had that information from your software development tools as well? Who's responsible for that service? Were there any recent deployments? What's been the change failure rate? Is there an ongoing incident on that service? So what you're going to see in the coming months is that we're going to be taking our recent acquisition of Mindful Insight and supercharging it with this dynamic information that comes from a whole host of DevOps tools. So as a modern ops team, you will be able to better understand the impact of proposed changes to services. So as you can tell, we're super excited about the release of Jira Service Management, and I'd love for you all to jump in and explore all that's in store. Thank you all for having me here today, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your conference.